feeling where you're just so overwhelmed by everything that you just don't want to do anything. You know, the job just seems so hard and impossible, and the hill seems so steep that you just don't want to do it. That's kind of where I'm at right now. The garden greenhouse, I'm a little overwhelmed. It's not as bad as it looks. I have to keep reminding myself that. A lot of stuff is resting. A lot of stuff is cover crops. Right now, I am planting cover crops at the back half because the back half is so dead and so dry and so clay that it needs so much help. So I planted barley and hairy vetch. Sounds of the farm. We've got clover coming up in patches really nicely. We want the clover, but then we also have the weeds. So we're just kind of like taking it as we can and hoping that those cover crops are going to break up the clumps and that we can actually plant that back half, hopefully with zinnias. And the great thing about zinnias is you can plant them in poor soil and ignore them and they just thrive. So that's what I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that that's what this year is. I'm currently putting some compost on I'll show you in a bit, putting compost on a couple of the patches that I am hoping just self-seed them, like the Nigella I let go to seed and is actually coming up right now. And so I put the compost over top of the stuff that hasn't come up yet, and hopefully that'll start it going. I've planted the sweet peas, and I'm watering the sweet peas by hand because we had to fix the broken water pipe. It's fixed now, yay. Now the next task is figuring out how to do the irrigation and turning that back on after a winter's break. And hopefully when I look back at this at the end of March, that I'm going to be proud that I was able to get some things done. Well, it looks like the peppers are doing splendidly. So these are the Hungarian hot wax. These are the ones that I wanted to grow last year and couldn't find the seeds anywhere. They must have sold out. But as you can see, the ones that I transplanted and spread out that were doubles have just transferred beautifully. We've got a couple more coming up here. 4, 5, 6, 7. 27 of the Hungarian peppers. Then we have some Anaheims, something called the Mad Hatter, which I just went for because it looks cool. Now, as you can see, these ones are a little bit leggier. We're going to try and address that this weekend. I have the Witch's Stick, which is like a long red pepper. Some more Anaheims, and something called a candy cane, which I think is more like a sweet pepper than a spicy pepper, but you know, it'll look really fun in the bundle. The thing about farming is that sometimes it's more chaotic before you get the results. So we've taken down all the fencing because the fencing was just getting ridiculous and bulging. And you can hear Marshall crying because we've got goats on the loose just grazing away. And he's not enjoying the fact that he's tied up. We haven't trained him well enough to herd the goats. Why are they there? They're there because the fence is down. Now, where's all that gorgeous compost going, you ask? I'm so glad you asked. Of course, the greenhouse. This is all organic. It is goat poo, goat urine, and hay that's been composting for a couple years. It's gonna smell It's gonna be so good for the garden. All this beautiful yucky soil that we're gonna put in the greenhouse. So greenhouse 2, right now, we are tarping and killing that grass that has just lovingly come back in so fast. But it's gonna be good. And I think the plan is to fill the pathways with clover. So now the search is to find some clover leaves. So if you're ever on the fence, haha, about having goats, this is about 3 years worth of hay and wastage from hay bales. We are going to be fixing this feeder because clearly it's not working. John has remade this fence all the way to there. It's beautiful, it's straight, it's not bulging anymore, and it goes all the way down to there. Yeah, if you have any ideas for goat feeders that sort of limit the amount of wastage, would love to hear and see. One of the things that I do before I plant my pepper seeds is I put them in chamomile tea the day before. And I saw this tip through Nettles and Petals. He suggested that the chamomile kills the coating and the antifungal coating that's on the outer part of the seed and helps it germinate better. Last year I did an experiment where I did half water, half chamomile, and my chamomile tea seeds, the ones soaked in chamomile, germinated at a far higher rate than the ones just with water. If you watch my reading vlog, you will see that I am currently working on my seedlings. In my reading vlog, I apparently can't talk and do this at the same time. So we're gonna try this again and see if I can do some planting while I talk about what's going on. So 2 days ago, I had food poisoning, yay! And that sort of put a little damper on my plans because it's end of March, and of course, like most gardeners, we start panicking. Oh my goodness, I don't have all my seedlings in, which is not true. You should see my peppers. My peppers are thriving. So we're doing the rest of the peppers today. I have way too many, but that's okay because do you remember last year when I planted, I think it was 27 jalapeno peppers or jalapeno plants, and 4 of them survived. So, you know, it's okay to have a little bit too many. And if we have way too many, great. We are going to sell those like hot cakes, hot peppers. Play it by ear. I think gardening is this level of planning as well as just being very flexible. And I think teaching, for those of you who don't know, I taught for 10 years and I took a break to have a bunch of babies. And in that time, I thought, flowers? Sure, why not? I need a little bit of joy back in my life, so let's do this. Teaching and flowers have a lot in common. There is, the best made plans, you know, you can plan everything you want and then suddenly things just get derailed. And isn't that par for the course, just getting interrupted as we do? That's what happens when you work in a very centralized location. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Basically, there's just like panic to plant everything, and so I'm just having a lot of seedling planting parties. We got some new grow lights, and I've got the last batch of peppers going. And then I ended up dropping a couple of pepper seeds. And so this particular one right here, the one with the question mark, they are mystery ones because I don't know who they belong to. But we got these awesome new grow lights, and they have the 3 different colors on them. So like the blue, the red, and the white. And I read the package and it said blue and white to start. So this is me learning, and we'll find out if I do a little bit more research in that and see if I'm correct. But here's the other ones, and they are thriving, so much so that I'm going to have to actually pot them up. One of the things that needs doing ASAP is putting the rollers on greenhouse 2. Right now you can see all the parts and stuff. They're like ready to go, but they're just not down because we have to finish putting the poly on permanently. And then as you can see, John tilled. Now we're not really big on tilling, but just it was gonna be too big of a job. So he ended up tilling just so we can get going on the planting. You can see my spacing here. There'll be a bed, long bed all the way down, long bed all the way down. I think they're 4.5 foot, and we'll just work with what we've got. This way we use more square footage, especially in this one. And I don't know if you can see at the further end, I'll zoom in a little bit. The irrigation is down for that side, for that half, for the back half, but it is not for this half. All the irrigation tubes ready to go. And then we are gonna start planting, because actually the stuff that needs to go in now is the stuff that's going in here at the front. I thought my most beautiful idea would be to start a greenhouse with the herbs in the front, so that when you walk in, you smell herbs, and it's going to be lovely. It's going to be so delicious. And then it's going to be kind of color coded as we go down somewhat. I'd like to keep, you know, the reds and the yellows together and the purples and blues together. And then back half is going to be lots of filler. Front half is going to be herbs. It's going to be great. I have a dream. It will happen. Out and about for a walk, it just poured. We got a rainbow, and now it's very pleasant out. I've got the 2 diggity dogs with me. Had our friend Ben come and work on the irrigation, and then we encountered a snafu. For some reason, whenever any zone was turned on, zone number 13 kept triggering, and it wasn't really properly plugged in. So what would happen is it ended up really flooding. So that was not ideal. Irrigation is like almost done. We're gonna start planting greenhouse 2 anyway. And we're just gonna go with it. I've got seedlings ready to go. I think we're gonna sit down for one final time this month. Just plant a bunch. I think we're gonna start our tomatoes. We're gonna be trying to grow quite a number of tomatoes this year. We're in the hopes to sell some as well as have some for ourselves. This whole month and next month is the game of patience and just being Like, hold our horses, hold them. Because all we want to do is just like plant. Lots to always share, especially as the greenery is coming in. We'll see you again next month.